Hello, everybody. Today we've got some For Honor footage, which I think only a few bits of this are actually from our footage, but it's all good footage all the same.
I don't think any of it is. I mean, anyway, yeah, we went to Gamescom. We got to record some. We got some footage anyway. Recorded some gameplay.
Yeah.
Even if this isn't our direct footage, we definitely played it. So
yeah, and it ran it just as well as it's literally from computers next to us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, was it on console?
Did
we play it on?
I couldn't say.
I think it might have been PC with Xbox controllers. I think. But anyway, so. You know, For Honor, if you're not aware of what it is, it's got some kind of mad storyline with some demons that bring the samurai, Vikings, and knights together, and there's a single player. But we're going to talk about the multiplayer today.
I don't think the single player is just going to be quite mad, really. But I mean, that's fine. If you like, it's going to have a single player suite to it. So if you're into that, then that's going to be good.
Yeah. And then in the multiplayer, there's presumably in the single player as well. There's the classes. There's 4 classes per army, it seems. And we got to play as the Vanguard class,
which is a defendy.
Kind of just. Yeah, he's a bit of a little bit tanky, kind of not too tanky, not too quick, so but basically an all-rounder, I think.
Yeah, the classes system, I don't quite. So you've got there's Knights, Viking, and Samurai, which is a classes in itself almost, and then in that there's subclasses to each of those. And then the way they look is different as well. You can change the aesthetics of your knight. We've got to do that at the start. So there's lots of different aesthetics. Presumably you can unlock them. So
yeah, so a vanguard from each of the 3 armies is different, but they kind of follow a guideline for that class, but they aren't the same. They don't have the same move sets. So the Vikings have got specific Viking moves. For instance, they glow orange a little bit and they can break through people's armor, or they do an unblockable.
Yeah, I played the knight. I can't really remember what the knight was specific to him. To be honest, the knights just seem like they've got quite a lot of range. They've got a lot of health because of the big swinging, arcing sword. I know the samurai's a bit lower on the HP pool, but it's faster, and the Vikings heavier, slower, but it hits hard.
Yeah. So also when we were playing this, there's these perks as well. I believe are customizable. Where
that's when you're playing the game, isn't it?
Yeah, and so along the bottom left of the screen, you'll see once you level. I think is it leveling up? Once you level up, they become available.
Once you've killed enough little minions on the map or enemies, you sort of your character gets stronger and access to perks. Some of them are passive, some of them are active abilities that you can activate, and they do various things. For example, there's one I think the Viking had where he inspires people around him to do more damage, but not you, only people around you for a short period of time.
Yeah, so they kind of build on the team play of the game, I think.
Yeah, so talking about the mode, we played Dominion, didn't we? Dominion.
Yeah, it was
a bit like
called Dominion.
Conquest type of thing. Very small map though. The map was tiny.
It was quite small, yeah.
And it's flooded with little minion dudes, like little blokes, where you can just chop up.
Yeah, remind me of Dynasty Warriors a little bit.
Well, not quite as mad, but. Yeah, so basically you capture the points, you've got to hold on to the points to get tickets, and then the enemy doesn't respawn and you go and kill them, basically. So it's basically capture and hold, pretty much. Obviously...
You seem to have, bonuses from... when you capture one, you get 200 points instantly, and then if you lose that, it almost it de-points you.
Yeah, it does. The longer you hold it as well, the more points you get. So it is about holding them. It's not just running around cap, decap, cap, decap, cap. That won't get you very many points. It's about
when you get 1,000 tickets, it breaks the enemy. They're broken and they can no longer respawn, and then you just kill them till they're dead to win. Yeah. But it is possible to actually recover from being broken if you were some kind of god samurai and just carved up the enemy and cut the points back.
Yeah, the map was very small. That's the only thing I'd say about the map we played. River Fort. We only got to play for 10 minutes, so it was okay. It looked quite cool, but it was quite small. But yeah,
I think this is going to be the main kind of mode, other than deathmatch, and I don't think there's really many other objective modes, at least that have been announced.
Yeah, I saw there's some footage of 1v1. I remember seeing that. So there's some, obviously the 1v1's all about learning how to fight in a 1v1 scenario, all the ins and outs of the combat system, and then that's the only modes I've seen.
Speaking of the combat, what did you think?
Well, the combat's so the main meat of the game is that they've built this robust combat system, melee combat system, because there's not many games these days that have a decent melee combat system in it, with blocking and parrying and guarding, unless it's a beat 'em up, which I guess this sort of is in a way. It kind of reminds you of like a behind the shoulder third person beat 'em up. The combat, really, we only got to play it 15 minutes. That's not enough to get to grips with how it works. It's
there's a lot of
in depth and involved, and I can see people getting very good at it. Initially, it is quite overwhelming, I would say. You can block and attack in there's only 3 different directions, up, left, and right. You can block and attack in. So you can, you've got to look at the other person's guard and their stance, and then block depending on what their stance is. I will say this: the stances are easy to see where they're coming from.
Yeah. Well, there's a little. In fact, it shows you which way
there's a little
they're doing, so you can quickly like flick the thing, and if you block enough attacks, you get like powered up.
Right. But in the
it's revenge
fracas
mode,
of
I think
combat,
it's called.
it can be quite.
The
revenge. Okay, so there's lots of different things to this combat system, but basically the base of it is blocking and defense and like attacking with heavy and light attacks. So light attacks are faster, heavy attacks are slower. Then you layer on top of that all the special. There are special moves you can do, so you can guard break people. Like you said, there's unblockable moves. The Vikings have access to. I'm sure the Vikings have access to. I'm sure the other characters have got some of the moves as well. Like shoves, headbutts, those kind of things.
Also, there's the executions, which make people take longer to respawn, which is quite... if you finish somebody with a heavy attack, you get an option to execute them.
Yeah, so that's just a little animation that plays, and they get a longer respawn time, so it's worth doing. Obviously you can lock on to people. Now, the one thing that is quite difficult, obviously if there's 2 people attacking you at once, you'd be hard-pressed to win, really. It's very difficult, especially if there's one from behind you and in front. Like, you can switch between targets by flicking the stick, but, I mean, bloody hell, it's difficult. And so they put this revenge mode in. So what it is if 2 people are attacking you, you basically go, and just power up to give you a chance of at least having a chance of killing at least one of them, maybe 2. But really what you want to do is try and be a bit defensive and get to a better position.
And also gang up on the enemy. Like, if you see a friendly, carefully, don't kill them, though.
Oh, God, yes. Well, friendly fire was on in our scenario. Many times I was cleaved in twain by teammates, just going, "Don't worry, I'll help."
They just windmilling in with an axe or a sword or whatever.
So you've got to be careful of that. But there's lots of different moves, and there's obviously comboing your moves together. You can mini-stun people with, like, you can jab people with, like, I remember I could hit with a hilt of my claymore. And, like, and, like, there's definitely, like, a thing that breaks people's guard as well.
There's, like, little shoves and stuff as well. There's lots of, like, little stuff that wasn't really covered in the in the little brief tutorial that we got. So it's quite a deep control system. And I think some people will literally become the master of it. It will become ridiculous.
The base of it is just blocking in one of 3 directions and attacking in one of 3 directions. That's the base. But then when you start layering on all these other things on top, and don't forget you got stamina as well. So you got to manage your stamina. If you just keep swinging like a madman, you're going to run out of stamina, and that's it. You're dead meat, basically.
Yeah. So I think this is actually going to be a good entry into the melee kind of genre.
Yeah, well, there's not that many that are melee only. You've got stuff like Mount and Blade and Chivalry and War of the Roses, but they're all quite relatively recent. Well, Mount and Blade's been going for a while, but none of them have really cracked a AAA feeling game that's like, yes, that is melee. And I will say the melee is quite satisfying, but at the same time, I was left somewhat unfulfilled at times. Like, I would just like run up and just sort of slash, and they'd just fall over. And I don't know. I think part of that,
I think part of that comes to the fact that the executions were really, really cool, and I think that's where all the kind of the gore or whatever comes in. But because we don't really know the combat system that well, we literally had like 10 or 15 minutes each to play. So I think given a couple of hours, maybe we'll find.
I think with this game you need at least a couple of hours just practicing to get a good grip on the
I'll definitely be doing the single player first, and then try and dabble in the multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely an interesting game, and it should be quite melee, which is something that we always want here.
Yeah, and as it's 4v4, and there's 2 of us, maybe we can take 2 lucky eggs out into the field.
Well, obviously you can just play with anyone in friends, streamers. We'll be doing a lot of this, playing this on YouTube, and hopefully do some funny YouTube videos, and definitely we'll be streaming it. So make sure to go over to our Twitch channel if you aren't already followed. Obviously it's not out for a while, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's For Honor. We're definitely looking forward to playing that a bit more, maybe in the technical test or closed alpha, which I think is coming up soon. So yes, that's the video.
I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the nice images on screen.
Yeah. If you what's the images on screen?
Well, the video.
Oh, right. Okay. I thought you were like going to chuck up pictures of just pictures
well,
of
maybe I'll just
various
put a picture of your
Vikings
cat up.
and samurais throughout the ages. I don't know. Anyways, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed, comment below. What do you think of For Honor? Is it something you're interested in? Or are you like, no, it's not got no guns, I'm not interested? And leave a like as well if you're so inclined. And we'll see you in the egg one.